going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And it's Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, Saturday morning. So you know who I'm with. You know who I'm with. Michigan's finest, all the way up north. My guy, Mr. Alex Loosemore. What up, Alex?
Not too much, man. Excited for another weekend of college football. Compared to the other weeks that we've had recently, this one seems like a bit of a off week. Yeah. There's still some really good games, some that just happened the last couple days, and definitely some fun ones to watch today.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. You guys have a rivalry that in years past might have been dominant on one side. Now,
yep, I think it's gonna be close tonight.
Up in the air. Who's it going to be? And for me, well, look, we're on a 4-game losing streak. It's been rough. Still trying to get over the 70 points JMU put on us, but it's all good. It's all good. Football is still here. We still have a shot at the bowl game. We're going to have to win out, but It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Talk College Football. We are here before the noon games to give you a little 2 cents, what happened, tell you about what happened coming up, and throw you our Heisman list. Getting closer to that time, and people are, some of the front runners are starting to separate themselves from the rest of the pack. But look, Alex, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we had games all throughout this week coming up. We're not going to go into all of them, but we are going to dive into a couple. First and foremost, a Tuesday game, Sam Houston State gets a 10-7 victory over FIU. Sam Houston State now 6-2, keeping themselves atop their division. And then UTEP losing to Louisiana Tech 14-10. UTEP's just not been having a great season this year.
Yeah.
And it shows. I mean, shout out to Louisiana Tech getting that win this week. It was definitely much needed after a loss to New Mexico State. You look at these 2 games on Tuesday night. I mean, outside of the fact that we had football on Tuesday night, does this move the needle for you at all?
It definitely didn't on Tuesday, considering that we got the NBA back as well. Yeah. On Tuesday night. That was opening night. So I know my eyes definitely went there. As a Timberwolves fan, we were playing opening night. So, but I mean, and these are 2 matchups that really, unless you're like a diehard college football fan or a fan of one of these teams, you're probably not going to take a look at.
Not going to see. Yeah. So, like I said, shout out to Sam Houston State, who is keeping their name alive. Definitely bowl eligible, but they're going to need a lot of help if they're going to want to get into that conversation. Right now, the way it looks, they're not in that conversation. But shout out to them too, because they just came into the FBS not too long ago. So definitely respect to them. All right, let's move on down the list. Got to go into the Wednesday games where you had Middle Tennessee State lose to Jacksonville State 42-20. Middle Tennessee, another one that's been having a rough season. Jacksonville State is up here at 4-3. Look, they got Liberty next week, that we're going to talk about. Louisiana Tech, FIU, and then Sam Houston State, and then Western Kentucky. If Middle Tennessee can get 2 wins, Louisiana Tech, FIU, very potential. They could definitely get 2 wins. They can make themselves bowl eligible. Now, I see Liberty, I see Sam Houston State, who we just talked about, and I see Western Kentucky. And I'm not as confident that they can get those wins, although Jacksonville State's put up 63. They put up 54. And in one of those games, they beat Kennesaw State. And we're going to talk about who Kennesaw State beat this past week. So, I mean, realistically, do they have a shot to get more than 6 wins, or is it 6 in a bowl for them?
I mean, realistically, they've got a chance to go in and win every game. Whether it's a very slim chance in some of those cases, or they've got a pretty good chance in those 2 games we mentioned before. I think them going in knowing they need these wins to be bowl eligible, I think gives them an extra level of like desperation to play better.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And look, we know they can put up points. Again, this is another 40 plus point game. So they have the offense to do it. It's to see if can they stop the other team? Can they get enough turnovers or time of possession or possessions to capitalize on that? Now, I alluded to the fact that they destroyed Kennesaw State, and that has been a common theme this year with most teams except for undefeated Liberty. And look, shout out to my guy,
Undefeated
Bryce
no
Grant.
more.
Undefeated no more, right? Shout out to my guy Bryce Grant. I've been talking to him, and over the last couple weeks, he's kind of had that Alec mentality. Even though we're undefeated, we're not playing great. We're not playing great. I hit him up after this one, and he was just like, "Man, we deserve to lose. We haven't been playing great this year." And I was like, "Man, I feel for you, brother. I feel for you."
Yeah.
Oh man, what is going on, Nathan? Big win
What's up,
last week.
Nathan?
Let's go, Maryland. Let's go. Yeah, so you look at this, Liberty no longer undefeated, still in the running though, because no, not at all.
Well, they had to be perfect. That schedule's not tough enough considering how well a couple of those other teams, Army, Navy, Boise State, are all playing.
Yeah.
Liberty had to be perfect to have a shot, unfortunately.
Yeah, and even if they had a slip up, Kennesaw State, the team that has not won had not won a game prior to this, that can't be the team that you slip up.
That's their first FBS win.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh man, where's Braun Breaker? What my dog at? Come on, let's go. Was Braun on the field? He must have been, man. He must have been. But yeah, to your point, you got like I talked about Jacksonville State, then Middle Tennessee State, UMass, and even though you have Western Kentucky and Sam Houston, that's just not enough to get you into that conversation, even if you win out. So unfortunately for Liberty, like my buddy said, our season is over. And I said, no, you still got games. He said, no. We're out of contention.
The meaningful, yeah.
So, hey, completely understand. Sucks for Liberty, but hey, you guys are still doing great. I don't think they took your goalpost away. So
yeah,
we're good. They rushed the field, but that's about it. Look, let's go to those Thursday night games. ODU beat up on Georgia Southern 47-19. What? Wow. I mean, Georgia Southern has been decent at 5-3 this year, but ODU putting up 47 on them. Daggone, Alex. Are we overlooking ODU, or is just one of those games?
I think this is just mainly one of those games where everything clicked for ODU. Yep. I mean, you look at their quarterback, Colton Joseph, who's a freshman, by the way. 20 of 26, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Ooh. Near perfect. Ooh. Like, that's just one of those things where, I mean, French, the quarterback for Georgia Southern, didn't play terrible either, but 17 to 29, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. But it was just anything that ODU wanted to do, they got done.
Yep. Yeah. And it's shout out to them for being able to get it done. You talked about Joseph, who also had 69 on the ground. They rushed for over 250 yards as a team with a couple touchdowns on top of the 300 yards that Colton passed for. Like you said, everything worked for ODU. And then you had a Georgia State team or Georgia Southern team that has been playing well throughout this year, but 50% on third downs, just over 100 yards, 2 turnovers, and 6 penalties. So they just were out of sorts. They were all out of whack for this game, and ODU capitalized on all those mistakes. So shout out to them. And a game that we talked about a week ago, Pittsburgh, number 19, goes up against Syracuse. Kyle McCord had, we had hyped him up. We had said he's going to be X, Y, and Z. 5 picks.
3 of them for touchdowns.
Is this why he got booted out of Ohio State? Did they see this on the wall? Like, good gracious, man.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was. He threw 64 times
Jeez.
on Thursday night. Only completed 35 of them.
Yeah.
Now, if you include the interceptions, he completed 40. But
there you go. Come on now.
Threw 3 touchdowns. They were just all to the other team.
Yep.
He ran in a touchdown. Still had negative 32 yards rushing. But now that's sacks affect your rushing in college and all that. But yeah, I don't know if this is probably the reason why he was booted from Ohio State, and it finally came crashing back down for Syracuse. We were waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
Just waited a little bit longer to do it this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was like when you hit the third interception, it was just like, okay, they're gonna switch it up, right? Like they're not just gonna throw him back out there. And sure enough, went out there and another interception. And okay, they're not gonna put him back out there again, and another interception. It was just like, what is going on?
Yeah. And we talked about it when he has help from his run game, when he has help from his team, that definitely helps him out. That definitely gets that pass game working. But you talked about obviously his sack yard is a negative 32, but even beyond that, even without those sack yards, they only had something like just under like 38 yards total. LaQuint Allen only had his 32, and the other guys had less than 10 combined. So, the run game was not there. Obviously, that pass game had issues. They were passing all day. But for however much we've been really hyping them up, I think where we really got to do is we got to look at the other side. Pitt's defense played out of their mind. I mean, obviously the interceptions, but their offense didn't have to do enough because that defense continued to give them favorable field position, continued to give them the ball back. And I mean, you gotta shout out what Pitt and Coach Narduzzi is building out there. That defense is elite, and look, they came ready to play this week, and they're ranked 19th and undefeated, man. So right now, I'm still good on them in the ACC, potentially making it to that ACC championship. And if we're going to talk about our quarterback and us them having to play Clemson, and if they can get that W, and then maybe even see Clemson or Miami in the ACC championship, watch out now. Watch out. So we'll definitely see what they got going on, man. Shout out to Pittsburgh. Let's see how they can keep going. Now let's move to the Friday night games. Louisville pulls it out 31-27 over Boston College. And first, I'm going to start at Boston College. I feel bad for them, man. Thomas Castellanos has been their number one guy week in, week out. He tries to put it together over, 160 in the air, 40 on the ground, 200 total yards, 3 TDs. He can't do it all. He can't do it all by himself. And it's not like these guys are getting stomped. They're in these games. But shout out to Louisville, man. They were in the ACC championship a year ago. They still have a solid team, and they were able to get this W, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good team, and it's just like you said, though. Castellanos needs some help there. When he's your second leading rusher, passing for all the touchdowns, and it's just not quite enough. It's one of those things, and the other side of it is you got 2 interceptions from the other team. Like Tyler Shuck threw 2 interceptions. And you still find a way to lose that game.
Right.
That if I'm him, I'm kind of sitting there like, what else do I need to do?
Exactly.
Like this is, I feel for the dude because that's got to be so frustrating.
Oh yeah, and you got it. I'm reading through. Boston College, had a 20-point lead at one point. Boston College was in this ball, like they were winning this game until Louisville was able to pull it out and win this thing later in the game. And we've seen games like this for BC where they can get ahead. They can look good. We look at that Florida State game early on and we're like, oh my God, look what they did. Now we look at that game like, well, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. But they not being able to hold that lead, it's frustrating. I know it's frustrating for them because it's like you said, what else do we have to do? But I I feel for them because it's like they're a year or two away. They're a
Yeah,
couple major recruits and major players away, but they're no slouch for sure. And they got 4 wins. They got well, shoot, they got UNC, so they might get a fifth sometime soon. They got BC, and then they got Syracuse and Pitt. So it's not an easy schedule, but they could
not by any
potentially get
means.
those. Yeah, they could potentially get those two, but if they don't beat us, well, technically, could also go 0-4 in those last four. So,
It does help that only one of those is on the road, though. SMU is the only road game they got left.
yeah, ooh, that's not where you want to go on the road to. So,
Nope. Although, out of those 4 games, I don't know you want to go on the road at all, but
right, right. But we shall see. Shout out to Louisville for getting that W. We're gonna go to the last game, a game that our guy Nathan Snell was. He was excited because he beat this team a week ago. USC plays about near at midnight Eastern time.
yeah.
8 p.m. in the West Coast. They beat Rutgers 42-20. Miller Moss is doing his thing, over 300 yards. But somebody that the name that I've been hearing over the last couple of games is that running back, number 4, Woody Marks, 94 yards on the ground, added another 48 receiving. I mean, he's turning into their guy. He's turning into their main running back. He's helpful in the running game and the receiving game. And I'm going to tell you, man, I'm excited that he's starting to play out, man. Because before the season, I had no clue who this guy was, but he's been balling out as of late.
Yeah, I learned a bit about him looking into him before the Michigan USC game, and I've liked what I've seen from the beginning with him. He's got that speed to kind of pull away. He's big. He's physical. He's what you want your prototypical running back to be, and that's such a safety blanket for Miller Moss. Where we're talking about Castellanos and Kyle McCord and all these guys that are like, what else do I have to do to carry this team to the victory? Where Miller Moss is, I just got to be good because I know I got this guy beside me. So it's a great thing for USC to have that balance, which Lincoln Riley's offenses tend to do. We hadn't had it at USC yet, but Marks, Moss, and the rest of that offense, it gives a great balance for Lincoln Riley to kind of pick and choose how he wants to dismantle these defenses. And they manhandled a good Rutgers team.
Oh yeah, a good Rutgers team that 4 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, was undefeated. And now, what is going on with Rutgers? I mean, after the Washington game, they lose to Nebraska. They get stomped by Wisconsin. They give UCLA their second win of the season, and now this loss to USC. Greg Schiano, we were all praising him earlier in the year. Look what Rutgers is doing, and look how tough they're playing. Did he stop coaching? I mean, UCLA is not a powerhouse. Wisconsin has showed up. Nebraska, we know what they're doing, but and USC. I mean, so those 3 games I can understand, but I can't give him the UCLA game.
The big difference is they're settling for too many field goals. They get to the point where you should be trying to go for touchdowns, and it's field goals or stopped on downs. And that's the difference between winning and losing. Because you look at it, realistically, Washington should have beat them. They killed themselves with turnovers, penalties, missed field goals, but you lost by a touchdown to Nebraska. You were right in that game. I will pass over the Wisconsin game; they got destroyed.
Yeah.
But UCLA, you're right there. Realistically, against USC last night, you turn a couple of those drives into touchdowns instead of field goals. You're right in that game too. So, the big difference for them is they haven't been able to take that next step on those drives and get them in the end zone instead of kicking it through the post.
Yeah. And so, hey, shout out to them. They said when we play each other in the Big Ten, it's a bloodbath. And that's why I advocate to balance out the schedule with non-conference opponents. Now, I get that for the up-and-comers, the Marylands and the Rutgers and things like that. But with the top-tier talent, some of these teams you're supposed to win. And I get it's a bloodbath because I think that's similar in the SEC and even in the ACC. You guys kind of pick each other off. But
Yep.
totally balanced out with cupcakes and big. I don't know if I'm for that because you already play some FCS schools or some lesser schools earlier in the season for the most part.
Well, I mean, a lot of those, it's for the smaller schools' benefit, right? Like, they're getting paid a bunch of money to come play, which then they can put into their program to better their program. So, unfortunately, with the product on the field not necessarily going the way you want with those games, I mean, we still have the App State Michigans, I know this isn't the same level, but the NIU Notre Dame, the Vandy Alabamas,
the JMU North Carolina.
I was leaving that one alone for you. But,
500K.
But there's so many times we see these upsets, and then it comes out the next day like, oh yeah, they got paid like $2 million to come play this game. Like, so what it does for those schools, I think, is the reason you have to keep that kind of stuff on the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Yo, shout out to people. We got people in the comments. Chris was saying, back to the Syracuse game, any OC or head coach that calls 65 plays from a guy that throws 5 interceptions probably shouldn't have a job. That's the second game 50 plus, and they lost. Oh, woof, good gracious. And shout out to Ben Cornett. What's up, Ben? Ben said, damn, UNLV wasted a great opportunity to beat Boise State last night. Genty didn't go off last night, and the Rebels couldn't get the W. Hey, great segue, my guy. We got to talk about it. Shout out to Boise for getting the win. But to your point, Ben, there was many points in this ball game, including late in the ball game where UNLV has the lead, and you're like, what happened? You're able to essentially, and when I say this, I'm preface it by saying with the year that he's had, I'm going to say you essentially shut Austin Genty down. I mean, yeah, he got 100, but he got 100 towards the end of the game. He was even out for a couple plays due to an arm injury. So the fact that you were able to shut him down for the most part says something. And in fact, in this game, it wasn't Genty that was a real threat. It was Madison. Madison was dropping some dimes down the field, and it was passing the ball and doing well. And you're kind of like, UNLV, they're doing well. Malik Williams was
Malik Williams,
Malik Williams over 100 on the ground and 100 in the air. They're doing enough to get it done. And this game was close to the end, but I think what Ben said was key. Missed a great opportunity to get this win and propel them into that conversation, man. What do you think?
And this is what happens when you've got two teams that are of even strength and playing that game with so much on the line. Yeah. Because now this puts Boise State in the driver's seat to get that Group of 6 playoff bid. And UNLV desperately needed that if they wanted the chance at that Group of 6 playoff bid. But, I mean, you look at it, these are two really good teams, two even teams, and that score shows that it came right down to the wire. It took a touchdown late in the game for Boise State to get that win. Impressive performance by both sides. Yeah. Malik Williams was awesome. Unfortunately had the interception, but almost 300 total yards of offense, 3 touchdowns. And it's just that thing where if you could have stopped Genty one more time, you win that game. Yep. I feel for UNLV.
Yeah, to have the season that they've had, especially after Sluka leaves, after your star running back leaves, you continue to get the wins, and then unfortunately you have these couple slip-ups, and it's just like, damn, man, they were so close to getting this done. Ben Cornett said the pick by Williams before the end of the first half hurt them. Yeah. Taking away opportunities, taking away drives for them. So, shout out to both teams. Definitely still in bowl contention, and
already bowl eligible.
Right. You want to wish the best for them, but UNLV, you look at that, the opportunity they have, and you saw on the sidelines, Odom was just pissed. He was yelling and cussing at the refs, and he's sitting here saying, "Do you not say this? Or you not calling this?" Yada yada. And it was kind of like, it was like you can feel the game slipping away, a game that they should have won. And
and that's one of those things is the players, when you see the coach start to kind of fall apart like that, at the refs, then all hell kind of breaks loose.
Yep.
Everything kind of starts to go. That's why you've got that head man in charge. He's got to be the one to lead the ship, and whether the refs are screwing you or things just aren't going your way, when you start to see that man in charge kind of fall apart, the team follows suit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So look, those were the weeknight games: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So excited that we are watching football during the week. What's up, Vanny Chris? UNLV had their chance, and everyone has Boise winning big. I had UNLV winning. Oh yeah.
I also had UNLV winning.
Oh yeah, Genty got hurt, man. He put his arm down to brace it and kind of snapped a little bit. He was out for I think a drive, but he ended up getting back in there. But even in that game, you can see the speed, you can see his agility and those things, but he wasn't breaking them. UNLV was getting those shoestring tackles. UNLV was keeping him. It's like one of these things where we cannot stop him, but we only hope to contain him. They were able to do that, and they made it so that he wasn't going to beat them. It had to have been Madison, and Madison did play well. But to Ben's point, you cannot give, in a close game like this, you cannot give the other team more possessions. You can't give them more opportunities, and that's what we saw there. So that's
I mean, with Madison as well, not only did he do what he needed to do throughout the air, but you had that touchdown run as well from Madison. So that was. It's crazy to think that we're saying you contained Ashton Genty by keeping him to 4 yards a carry.
Right.
Like, that's still a damn good performance. But that's the fact of the matter. And he didn't get the chance to break that long run, which hats off to UNLV's run defense. That's very impressive given what we've seen this year. But it just... unfortunate for UNLV. They're in the same boat with Liberty and both our teams, where it's like, okay, bye-bye bowl or bye-bye playoff. Like,
oh yeah. And I look at this point, I'm not confident in my team that we could get the W against us.
I'm right there with you. I'm sitting here like, are we making a bowl or like what's happening here?
Oh man, but yeah, we'll definitely see. But look. We got to move on, and since we did talk about Ashton Genty, who is on everybody's Heisman list, we're gonna go ahead and give you how our Heisman list is shaping up. Let's check out the Heisman Watch.
With team success comes individual success. So without y'all,
it would be nothing. So hey, we feel the same way about you. Shout out to y'all that are watching. Nathan, Ben, Vandy, Chris. Big game for you, Vandy, Chris. Yeah, we'll definitely wrap with you. And Vandy, Chris, man, we might have to get you on the show to talk some Vandy, man, because we might be talking deep into this season, man. We might be talking in December and January, baby. Come on now, come on. Let's get into it. We know for the most part who is on a lot of people's list, and we're going to also give you somebody that may not be on your list. Alex, I'm going to come to you first. From 4 to 1, who is your top 4 Heisman Trophy candidates?
So for me, just hanging on to the number 4 spot is Travis Hunter. Still playing very well at in the corner wide receiver kind of hybrid that he plays. Having a phenomenal season. It's just he hasn't had the numbers that he had the last few weeks, so he barely hangs on. But there's another guy I wanted to put in there, but gotta show Travis Hunter some love still. And then I think it's a pretty big gap to these next 3. Number 3, I got Dylan Gabriel, Oregon quarterback, played great against Ohio State, their biggest game of the year so far. If they win out here in an impressive fashion, which I do believe they will, then Gabriel's absolutely going to New York with a chance to win that Heisman. Number 2 for me, the guy, if I had to pick, I think is probably going to win it, is Cam Ward. you put his numbers up against the last few Heisman winners, which have all been quarterbacks, and that's the way it goes. He beats them all through 7 games. So I think he's going to get it because, number one, Ashton Genty had a human game, a really good human game, but he was human.
Yeah.
And Cam Ward's got the potential here to really break open some games here if they just let him air it out, even when they start blowing these teams out, that I think he might steal it away at the end.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's, yeah. Yeah. I think for the most part, our list is fairly similar. I think just in position, it's different.
Yeah.
And so for me, I gotta put Dylan Gabriel at 4. And the only reason I do that is just because of some of the early struggles. I mean, yes, he's been able to put it together, and that win against Ohio State was epic. That is one of those Heisman type moments that we talk about. So this is not the resting spot. This is not where he's going to stay. You know, he can definitely move up, especially with that schedule. But then for me, I do put in Travis Hunter because I believe what he's doing on both sides of the ball is amazing. I mean, we've talked about it over the years about, can a guy play both ways and do it successfully? And we've seen a couple guys do it, halfway, maybe this and that, but really never consistently putting it on there and having the endurance to do it like he has. We got to shout him out and being dominant like he has on defense. My 2 right now, and hey, maybe this is a little bit of Barry Sanders bias, but my 2, I'm bringing Genty down for that performance, man. And I think what the reason why I'm doing that is when I look at what Barry did, and I was talking to you about this before. Barry did it in the Big 8, which is now the Big 12, but you have the Texas, Nebraska, you had Oklahoma's, you had powerful teams in there that he was just balling out. The team was getting killed, but he was still putting up 200-300, whatever. And no disrespect to UNLV and what they were able to do to him. But the other talent that he's been playing against has not been that elite. So it's kind of one of those situations where it's like he has to do these things to get this. And I almost wonder, like I told you, the excitement and the allure for him is, can he get Barry's record? If he has games like this, where if it's only under, like Vandy Crit said, that's the first team to hold him to under 150. If they can do that, and the fact that he's not playing anybody really, really elite down the stretch, he's gonna have to bust for 250 in each game, and just continue to put himself on that. I was really looking to see him there, so that's why he's number 2. Number 1 for me is Cam Ward because I've seen him in tight games, I've seen him in easy games, I've seen him behind on multiple occasions, and he's brought his team back. I mean, we can go down the list on Heisman moments for this guy, and the fact that he came out from Washington State over to Miami and is having the kind of electric season they're having where the U is back. A lot of people are talking about them potentially getting into the ACC championship. So right now, I got Cam Ward as my number 1. This list is not set in stone, ladies and gentlemen. It could definitely go back. This is what Vandy Chris has. He had Genty first. He has Genty first, Ward second, Hunter third, and Bryson Daly 4. Diego Pavia 5, and then Blake Horton. Oh yeah, the service schools. Hey, let's go. The only reason Gabriel is on the list is because he's a part of the system that produces highly successful teams. Ooh, I like that.
I mean, he's not wrong, but you can only play with the team around you, the system you're in, and the teams that are on your schedule.
Exactly. He said, I think it's a disservice to Genty to hold him to Sanders standards to win it. He has by far performed the last 5 running backs to win the Heisman. What are we talking about with that? Hey, no, I completely agree. I completely agree what he's done, and you put it against these other guys. But one thing I think, and this is just my opinion, is we know that up until this game, Madsen really hasn't been super productive. We know Austin Genty is that offense. They know they're going to him. So for me, it's just to see him kind of going on that trajectory to Barry, and the season he's having is epic. I'm not taking him out of my top 5, and still, I have him at number 2 on a mobile list. The list is moving, but for me, I kind of am expecting more. So I mean, again, he can come in here next week and put up 250, and the list switches again. So we'll definitely see. But for me, with the talent that he's playing against, I kind of gotta maybe slightly drop him a little bit. What do you think about that, man?
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with you, and I think to counter he's by far outperformed the last 5 running backs that won the Heisman. The only one of the last 5 quarterbacks that have won the Heisman that outperformed Cam Ward so far is Joe Burrow. That had that historic season.
Right.
So I think there's also that. I think if Cam Ward wasn't having the season that he had, or that he's had so far, I think Genty's the runaway favorite. To me, I really think it's a 2-man race, and I think it's close. The other thing that I thought was insane with Genty is if you put his numbers now up to his numbers for the entire season last year, he has almost the same yards on 100 fewer carries. Like that's the type of like historic running season we're talking about with this guy.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal running back. And I left him at number 1 because I want him to get it. I think he's leaving the door open for Cam Ward right now.
And look, don't get it twisted. I don't want this list to be indicative of how I feel about the guy. I mean, I'm wearing a Barry jersey out of respect because I never thought in my lifetime I'd see somebody help maybe potentially eclipse that record, and to have
especially the way football's gone nowadays.
Exactly. To have him on that list, to have him continue to stay healthy and do it, I mean, he's right up there. But I do think that we have to see what Cam Ward is doing in comparison. And like you said, being a 2-man race, coming in here from the West Coast to the East Coast, playing with an entirely new team, being in a situation where, they don't really have the greatest of a run game. And, he's really had to prove it himself. I honestly think they're neck and neck. And it's, no disservice to Austin Genty at all. But definitely, that's where we're on is. If Cam Ward and Miami aren't protected by the refs 3 times already, their 3-loss team will could even be on the list. But his performance, I think he would by his stats, yes. But there is question on how some of those games ended. I know that Virginia Tech game, a lot of Tech fans around my area are not too thrilled.
That was still the right call. That one was the right call.
Yep. And there was also another one in I think the week later where in the Cal game where they called one and they shouldn't have. So I could
that one, I think the refs were definitely on Miami's side there.
And I completely understand that, but again, if that's the way the whistle goes, we can't do anything about that. You know that, Vandy Chris, in your game, with Mizzou, where you guys, if they, call a penalty or they do it right, you guys win in regulation. So I can't go back and argue how they called it, but this is what we're left with right now. So I love that you said that, though. That is definitely dope. We definitely got to get you on to have that conversation, man. But yeah, that's where we are now. Alex, who is just off of your list?
For me, it's a guy I never thought I would have said this going into the season, but it's Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU quarterback.
Oh, I like that.
Even though they lost that game to USC, their only loss, and he played great in that game too. He's played great all year. 183 completions on 283 attempts, 2,222 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 picks. For me, though, it's more the schedule he's got left. I think he's got the perfect mix of great teams and teams that he can beat up on and take full advantage of. They're at Texas A&M today. That is a huge stage for him to be on, followed by Alabama at home.
Mm-hmm.
2 massive games right there. If he plays really well and comes out on top of those, I think he probably hops into the top 4.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're at Florida, a good defense, but a team he can absolutely take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
Then they're home versus Vanderbilt, which him and Diego Pavia, I'm so excited to watch that game. And then OU at the end, where we've seen you can take full advantage of Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. So I think he's got a good mix of potential Heisman moment games and also games where he can kind of pad the stats a little bit. I like Garrett Nussmeier on the outside.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. And that's the LSU. That's one of my picks for the SEC championship game.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can pull that out, yeah, I'm all aboard with that. For me, I'm going to stay in the ACC. Another guy that transferred from Alabama, Eli Holstein, ladies and
I
gentlemen,
like
has
it.
Pittsburgh undefeated. Look, this is the first quarterback in Pittsburgh history to win his first 6 starts since Dan Marino. So he's in good
Yep.
company. Let's start
Yeah.
there. Then you look at the numbers. He has over 1,800 passing yards, 17 passing touchdowns with 5 interceptions. And you look at the schedule he has coming up. Obviously, Clemson, SMU, a number of decent, talented teams. If he can pull that thing out and he can keep going and keep these guys, flawless down the stretch, I can definitely see him in the ACC championship. And look, I know my list. I'm pretty set on the 4 that I got in there. But I think if he is able to continue to keep these guys keep these guys undefeated, I think you got to at least put him in consideration. You got to put him up there. What he's doing as a freshman for this Pittsburgh team, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Vandy Chris said, if Bryce Daly gets Army 17 straight wins, he will get an invite to New York as a career achievement invite. Oh, look, you gotta show.
I mean,
we gotta show love to these guys, man. I mean, come on now. They both need to get in just because.
yeah, I am fully on board with that. I love what both these quarterbacks are doing at Army and Navy. I think they're gonna have their eyes on something a bit bigger at that point. I think both Army and Navy, if they can both get by Notre Dame, we'll see Navy today if they can do it. Then that game is fully playoff implications because they're right there with Boise State in the rankings. And if they're undefeated, both of them, then I think that makes that conference championship game mean a little bit more. Now you won't get the main Army Navy game with the Heisman voters. So that game, or it'll already be decided by then. But man, I think, what Daly and Horvath are doing is phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they definitely need to be in consideration, man, because I mean, it's not even they're barely getting it done. These guys are balling out and completely taking over their offenses. And you're seeing, man, this stiff arming guys dropping them to the ground, just completely running over and passing the ball. That's where we got to put these guys in that consideration.
Especially Horvath.
I mean, come on now. How often do we see quarterbacks passing the ball at Army and Navy? But they're getting it done this year. And I love it. I love every minute of it, man. So definitely shout out to them. But yeah, let us know who is on your list, your top 4 or 5, or who's your just outside, your dark horse, man. And again, this is week 9. So these lists will be changing.
Long way to go yet.
Exactly. So definitely let us know where you stand. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick breather, and then we're going to come back and talk about some of these games that are going on today. Stay with us. Yeah, buddy. Shout out to my guy, Anton Benton, creator of Awesome Artisans on Instagram's awesome_artisans. Check him out, man. He does great work. He just put in a walkway for his parents over at his house. Put in I believe, a walk-in closet for my buddy. He's travels. He'll do whatever, man. He's a hard worker, doing all his things by himself. Shout out to True Sean. Remember 2 years ago when Army Navy game was 90% run plays. I mean, it's always been about 90% run plays. So the half the ball now, That's why we got to put him in that conversation alone. But let's move on. Let's get into it. Obviously, some of these games have started. We appreciate y'all sticking with us. Let's talk about some of these Saturday big games real quick. We're gonna talk about us, and I'm gonna go brief with North Carolina. Listen, we gotta just come off this 4-game losing streak. I mean, UVA in years past has been an easy game for us, but this is not that. They're 4-3 this year. They've been playing tough all throughout the season. Beating Wake by a point. Beat, just barely losing to Louisville, and actually was playing tough with Clemson for a while. Was able to put 31 up on them. So this is not a gimme. None of the games for North Carolina this year have been a gimme, but playing them, and that game should be starting soon. Playing them today, listen. My guy Marion Hampton's going to get his yardage. It's just going to see, can our defense stop their passing attack? Can our defense stop their run game? And right now, I'm not confident, but Coach Brown, I'm talking to you right now, man. As a fan, I cannot watch another loss. I can't. I can't do it. I can't do it, man. I'm on the plank. I'm about to jump off the ship, but I'm not doing it. I'm just telling you that right now. I need a win. We need a W. I can't do it. I live in Virginia. I can't have Virginia beat us. So I'm gonna there. I'm gonna leave it there. And to another game that's equally as important in this guy's area, Michigan versus Michigan State. We saw over the last couple of years it was a blowout, but now with the struggling quarterback play,
that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, what do you think's gonna happen today, man?
I got no idea, to be completely honest with you. We're going back to Davis Warren. We're at the point now where it's like whoever has the best week of practice, they're throwing him in. I can't wait till we get to the point where we can't burn Jaden Davis's red shirt anymore and see if we can get him in there.
Yeah.
And see what he can do. But yeah, it's tough. I really don't know what to. I think it all depends on what version of Aiden Childs we get out of Michigan State.
Yep.
If he comes out and plays the best that he has this year, or at that top level that he has, I actually think they can steal this game. But if they get anything less, I don't think they have the talent yet this year. I think they've got to be near perfect still.
Oh yeah, that's going to be interesting. In years past, I was definitely fully invested in this game. This is the first year that I am not invested. So, go blue.
This was one every year I was quite excited for. Today I'm not so much.
What's going on, Anthony Handy, man?
What's up, Anthony?
Well, man. Oh man, but look, so what are some of the other games that you're looking at today that caught your eye?
To me, I mean, big ones: Vandy, Texas, Illinois, Oregon. If you would ask me the beginning of the season, Missouri, Alabama, but I'm kind of skittish on that one.
Yeah,
I'm not high on either of those teams at this point. And then the big one for me is a guy we talked about with the Heisman: LSU, Texas A&M.
Ooh.
LSU going to Kyle Field.
Yeah.
Night game. I think this is a massive game for both teams.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I didn't even think about that one, man. But you got to, and with Texas A&M playing as they've played over the last couple of weeks, this is so huge, man. I love
the big thing for A&M. If they win this, they're in the driver's seat to make the SEC title game.
Right.
Because they're the only team that, if I'm not mistaken, they're the only team that hasn't lost in conference.
Oh, wow.
So with Texas losing that game now, these are the only two undefeated teams in conference. Texas A&M. So whoever wins is in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
To play Georgia, Tennessee, Texas. Vandy's also one loss. So that Texas Vanderbilt game is massive today.
Let's go, Vandy. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I think LSU A&M is my biggest game to watch today.
No, yeah, I want to. I'm actually gonna go to your conference, and I gotta go Penn State, Wisconsin.
That's another really good one.
That's one that I have my eyes on. I mean, Tyree Walker, we've seen over the last couple of weeks, has been balling out for Wisconsin on the ground with their run game. But obviously, Drew Aller, Nate Singleton, all these guys at Penn State, they've managed to stay undefeated. They've managed to, stay. I think fourth in the country. Are they third or are they fourth?
Penn State's third.
Yeah, they're third. And to have Wisconsin put up the numbers they've done over the last couple of weeks, this is huge in my opinion. But I think it's bigger for Penn State because Penn State, they can't afford to lose any of these games. And it's always every year it's this, oh, look, they're doing great. And then they normally come up against the either Ohio States and the Michigans. Now they got an Oregon team in here, but we saw, look, they were able to dominate USC. They were able to dominate a number. I mean, Wisconsin was. Penn State has struggled with a number of these teams, and I can fully see Wisconsin coming in here and getting this upset today.
Absolutely, and the one thing Penn State cannot do is look to that Ohio State matchup next week. Yep. You have to play your best game against Wisconsin today because otherwise they'll steal it from you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And look, and speaking of Ohio State, they can't look ahead. They got a 5-2 Nebraska team who, albeit they lost the last couple, Nebraska is still one of these teams I have my eye on, man. Dylan Raiola has been playing well over the last couple of weeks. It's kind of struggled, but this is again. I said last week, if Indiana and Nebraska, that's who I think is going to be one of the teams in the Big Ten championship. That game wasn't close, so if I look at it from that perspective, this game might not be close either. But if Nebraska can come away somehow and pull in this upset, I mean, the implications in the conference would just be crazy with how everything played.
I think that probably ends Ohio State's playoff chances. Second loss in conference.
Oh yeah.
Probably pushes them out of the Big Ten title game.
Oh yeah.
2 losses, no conference championship appearance. I think that's I don't think it matters who that is. I think you're gone more than likely.
Oh yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And one other game I'm looking at, a game you and I have talked about, our team you and I have talked about, BYU. BYU ranked 11th going up against University of Central Florida. Central Florida is one of the top rushing attacks in this league. A lot of people are going to overlook this one. BYU has been having a pretty good year, but this is one of those games that might come up a little snake bite. It might come up and surprise you if they play close like this. So
you see BYU's the underdog in that one?
Are you serious?
Yeah, they got UCF favored by 2.5.
What? I'm telling you, and maybe it's just that the country's not sold on BYU yet, or we know what they got in UCF, even although their score is not indicative of that. Other than that, I don't know why. I don't know. That's confusing to me. That's crazy. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. Also, Oregon, Illinois. Number 1 Oregon versus number 20 Illinois. Should we be on upset alert on that one? Sorry, Alec.
No. Illinois, and this was the frustrating thing last week. Illinois is a really good team, but they can't stop the run. But Michigan's offense coordinator was so boneheaded to try and prove that we can pass the ball that we didn't feed Kalel Mullings and Donovan Edwards.
Yeah.
We should have won that freaking game. Yeah. But because we got in our own way again, Illinois hung on and beat us for the first time since 2008.
Listen, I didn't share this week, but when they started to do the old timey video of them with the leather helmets running through y'all on the fake punt, I had to laugh. I was like, no, why are you doing this to my guy? But
I just about shut the game off at that point.
The ghost of Red Grange out there doing his thing. Oh God. One other game for me that I want to see, and they're both 6-1, and I'm actually kind of surprised they're both 6-1. SMU ranked 22nd against Duke. Obviously, Duke has
game.
Yeah, Duke has Washington, Malik Washington from transferred from Texas. and SMU, we've seen them really come alive as of late after they joined the ACC. I didn't know that Duke was 6-1. I knew Duke beat us, but I didn't realize that they only had the one loss, man. But honestly, I think this is one of those games that it could go either way. Obviously I'm rooting for SMU because F Duke, but I mean honestly it could go either way. So it's gonna be quite interesting to take a look and see who gets that dub. Oh, we got comments galore. Hold up.
Yep.
Look, two folks in the bathtub on a hill. Come on, I'm not wrong. What? And then he says, "Good morning." TAMU versus LSU. Yes, crucial day. Absolutely. It's going to be a sprint to the finish line. SEC this year. Hey, teams knocking each other off. Watch out for Vandy.
And it's a bunch of teams that play each other at the top of that conference right now.
What a ruckus
going to be a lot of fun.
There are 3 or 4 lost teams in the conference in the regular season. I'm telling you, it could happen. FSU is going to be mad again. Oh yeah, look, they getting left out of everything here. So
yeah.
Vandy Chris, I'm not in my bathtub. I'm maybe wishing well, wish me love, wishing well to kiss and tell them wishing well of crocodile cheers. Sing. Y'all out here in these comments, man. Yo, you're hitting the nail on the head at the start of the season. It was being said that 2 losses wouldn't do much in terms to CFP berth. Not now week 9, and let's looking iffy. Well, yeah, and that's the thing. It honestly really depends. Like 3 losses, it's gonna be hard, especially if you're not in the Power 5. You're done after 1 for the most part. Maybe 2 for certain, but 1 for the most part you're through. But yeah, some of these teams in the Big Ten or some of these teams in the SEC, if God forbid there is 2 or even 3 losses, you guys also look at the strength of schedule. So that would be quite interesting. But for the most part, 2 would kind of be that floor.
Yeah. I think a big thing is who you lost to and when you lost that game.
Very true.
That's also a major factor.
Yep. Who could have predicted the madness this season?
Not me.
I didn't see that coming.
This has like 2007 vibes.
I was thinking that just yesterday. I was like, yo, this is totally some of that 2007 South Florida being number 1, Missouri, Kansas playing for the number 1 or number 2. You know what I mean? Like
well, those where it seems like nobody wants to have the number 1. Like
exactly. Zach did one day. My guy, one guy did. I was told that Vandy would win the single SEC game or go to a bowl. Yes. Actually, you did. You did say it. And Handy, can we cancel all that little brother talk? Because
my headset died, so sorry. I can't.
All right. Hey, let's kill that little brother talk for Vandy, man. Diego Pavia has got these guys absolutely playing above their weight, and I think they looking at it like Handy, can we kill that little brother talk? Handy. Yo, I am loving every minute of these games because of the fact that it is so wide open. This is what we've been asking for over the years. Let's get some wide open football. We know who the powerhouses are. We know who the studs are. But this transfer portal and NIL deal and these players moving left and right, man, I want that competition to come in all conferences, not just the Big Ten, not just the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-2, the Big 12, the MAC, all those other conferences. And I love it. I love it. Knock each other off. The black and blue division, man. Leave it, make it wide open. That's what I want, man. And hey, I'm here for it. Oh, not red. Quote, Vandy ain't winning a game in the SEC. I was told, Vandy won't win more 2 or 3 games. Receipts are fun. Whoa.
Receipts are so much fun. When you just be like, hey, remember when you said this?
Remember, right? Oh, man. I'm down with it. Vandy ain't so little no more. Oh, yeah. No, they're not. Let me address
Chris.
Kurt Eddie is the guy that college football needed. I am here for it. Comment of the day. Absolutely. And look, I said last week, I was telling you when we talked about the Big Ten, the winner of that Nebraska-Indiana game, I thought it was going to be a lot closer, is my team, one of my teams that I think is going to make it to the Big Ten championship. and Indiana put the stamp out. And you got to go back to Signetti's comments when they're like, "How are you winning so well?" He said, "All I do is win. Google me."
Yeah.
Like straight up. Like, have you not heard? Come on, baby. I'm with it.
The second that he did that Google me quote, I was just like, Coach of the Year, let's go. Give it to him right now.
Exactly. Oh, snap light ball. All these years we teased Vandy about being needs. Okay. About being neat. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, we are about to be out of here, but before we do, we know you guys are in here. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's give our upset picks of the day. Alex, who are some of your upset picks of the day?
So I've got 3.
Okay.
I've got LSU.
Oh, I love that.
Upsetting Texas A&M.
Okay.
I've got the one that I was shocked are underdogs, BYU, pulling the upset, the undefeated team pulling the upset over UCF. And I'm rolling with it. I got Vanderbilt taking down Texas.
I love it. I know we don't ever do this, but I'm going to do it today. I'm doubling down. I'm with you on that. Vandy is getting the upset over Texas. And listen, for me, I talked about it earlier, Wisconsin. I think Penn State, I'm just not sold on. I just don't feel like they can get it done. So that was big for me. For me, Scott, don't say ever I was never nice to you. Missouri is going to shock the world. Well, maybe not shocking the world, but I think they can pull this one off. And the other one, can't believe I'm saying this. Duke will upset SMU today. Duke is playing well. It pains me to say it, but Duke is playing so well this year. And SMU, I know they're playing good. This game can go either way, but I think SMU is going to fall. I think they're going to fall. He said, "Oh, Lord, Texas has been sickened by the rat poison," right?
Look, I think it's one of those things where they went back to Quinn Ewers, and he hasn't been the same since he got hurt.
Oh.
So if they go back to Ewers again, if he starts to struggle early, do Pavia and that Vandy offense get ahead early, and then Clark Lee's defense kind of just hold on? Because I don't think you can really stop Texas's offense. I mean, unless you're Georgia's defense that played like the 2021 Georgia defense, but I think you can play well enough defensively that if you get ahead early and Pavia can just keep pace, I think this is absolutely a game that can go Vandy's way.
Oh yeah, and I also think you have to look at confidence. I mean, we all, going into the first couple weeks of the season, Ewers was by far top of our list. Now he's not on either of our lists. Now, obviously with the injuries and all that stuff, but I think it was really damning to see when they took out Ewers and they kind of continued to pan over to his face, and he just looked like a deer caught in headlights. He just looked like he was in shock. Like, it's not like what's going on. And then I cannot help but continue to go back to that commercial when Bosworth asked him, call for backup. And he says, backup? We don't need backup. Even if he has nice hair and famous uncles. Like, we don't.
Yeah, it's like, you don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that mention, that's not good. Oh, man. Yes. There it is, Chris. That's the question that we're asking on NCA. The old question looms for Vandy. Why not us? Let's go. They make them all eat their words, baby. I'm here for it all. Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we're almost 30 minutes into these first games. Let's see, Nebraska and OSU right now. I got 0-0. Do you have anything different from that? Oh no, 3.
No, 0-0.
Oh, UVA scored already. 3-0.
Notre Dame's about to go up 14-0.
Ooh, it's gonna be interesting. Indiana up 7-0 on Washington. Ole Miss up 7-0 on OU. VT's down 3-0. Looks like that's what we got for right now. So, hey, get to these games, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know who some of y'all's upset picks are. Who do you guys think can do this? And you know what? We did it last week. I'm gonna go ahead and do it again because I think it was good. We're gonna go for 2 real quick. Yeah, buddy, we're going for 2. And if you know, in these games, man, a lot of times the game is close and you're down by 1 and you kick the field goal to tie it, but you had so much momentum getting that score. Sometimes you're just like, hey, just roll the dice, let's do it. That's what we're doing right now. Go for 2. I'm gonna go first, Alex. Look, my go for 2. In life, you're tired. In life, you get weary. In life, there's times when you're just like, what am I doing this for? Why am I continuing? Why am I, waking up every day, going to the same job, doing the same thing? You do not see what you're doing and how that takes effect on other people. You don't know how you continually showing up, you continually being there, continually waking up and working and doing the little things, how that affects somebody else that's on the side that's struggling with their own thing. But they say, if he can do it, so can I. And that's what we see in these games, man. Even though some of these games, teams get out to these early leads, but all of a sudden you're seeing these teams come back. And you're seeing these teams like they have been out of the game. I look at the Georgia game. Bama was up 30-7. Most, if not every team, says we're done. Georgia came all the way back. Now, albeit they didn't win that game, but what they showed in that proved that once they go play against a team like Texas, we've been here. We can do this. And they jumped out to the early lead, and they knew we can't let these guys get back in the game. So you got to keep running your race. You got to keep fighting that good fight. Even if you think you're the only one doing it and you don't know if anybody else is watching, do your thing, because you and the way you live your life is a blessing and a message for somebody else, man. So that's my going for 2 today, man. Alex, what you got, buddy?
For me, it's kind of similar where it's tying football into everyday life. But I mean, for both of us, this season's been a struggle with our teams. But we're still here every Saturday talking football, watching our teams, as painful as it might be. But the thing is, you got to enjoy what you have while it's here.
Yes.
Because like that, it's gone. Yes. Whether that's it's certain people you associate with, whether it's getting up on Saturday to watch a college football game, whatever it is in your life, enjoy it while you have it, because gone like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, and I love that. And he said, my prediction, Georgia wins this week. Well, can't lose unless you get behind a wheel.
I was gonna say, keep your players in-house this week for the love of God.
Yo, we thank y'all for joining us, Nathan, Anthony, and Vandy Chris. Definitely get at us in the comments, man. Next Saturday, we're gonna have to get you on, especially if you get that dub. But regardless, we're gonna have to get you on here, man. To talk some good football, man. We appreciate you guys joining us. We appreciate you watching us. And I'm gonna play this just because I didn't play it last time. This is not a shot, but it is rivalry week for y'all. So let's do it. Hey, that's my guy, Alex Moore. It's your boy Sean Spencer. Let's go. We'll talk to y'all next time.